Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria from Keep It Holistic, where I talk about healthy living, motherhood, and more. And today I'm talking about meal planning, and I meal plan for a family of 4, soon to be 5 here. And so my type of meal planning might be a little bit different than what you do. So maybe you're more relaxed than me, or maybe you're more like type A than me. I am slightly type A, but not 100%. Like I kind of gravitate towards that, but I don't have like every single meal planned out. Like Monday night is tacos and Tuesday night is meatloaf. I don't really work that way, but I do have things somewhat planned out. So maybe my style might work for you, and if it doesn't, then you do your own thing. Disregard what I'm talking about here. But maybe I might have a few tips here that might help you. So the first thing that I do when I'm thinking about meal planning is actually I clean my fridge out. So, and I do this sometimes with the freezer too. Maybe like once a month, I'll go through the freezer. Every couple months, I go through the pantry. But at least the fridge, I do go through the fridge and clean it out, and that makes room for the groceries that we are gonna get. It gets rid of the yucky stuff that's sitting in there so things don't go bad. Then once they clean the fridge, then I look at what we already have, like what's still good, things in the freezer that have been in there for a little bit and need to be used up. Like, oh, we have some frozen asparagus in there. Okay, well, maybe when I go shopping, I'll just buy some salmon and we can have some salmon and asparagus one night. So that's just an example. I look at, like some of the condiments and the staple ingredients. I go through the pantry, like how much olive oil is in there, how much coconut oil is in there, how much tallow is in there, where's the flour at. I kind of regularly do that, and I do that before I order my meat, and I order from Azure Standard. So for meat, we order like once a month or so, and order like a big haul kind of all at once. So when I'm picking out meat, I look at kind of meals that we like, and then I just pick out meats that might go with the meal for the month. And then when I'm planning weekly to make my weekly grocery trip, then I look in the freezer and see what kind of meats are in there, and then I plan my meals around the meats that we already have. So if we have like a roast in there, I'll make sure to pick up some carrots and potatoes, for example, this week. Then something else I also like to do is I like to look at food blogs or cookbooks or maybe my own recipes. I kind of go through the recipes and pick out maybe some recipes that we might like this week. I also do my own, because I run my own food blog, I'll plan out like 1 or 2 recipes that I'm gonna do for that. I would recommend, if you get kind of stuck, is to just like go on the internet and look up like shrimp, like shrimp recipes, for example, salmon recipes, or taco recipes, but maybe based on the meats that you have or just things that you are kind of wanting to have. And then what I do is I look at the recipes, and then I look at the ingredient list, and then I put those ingredients into my grocery list. And then once I do that, then I also kind of look at the pantry and see what we already have, as well as I'm kind of putting those ingredients in. Stuff that we don't have, obviously, that I want to use for a recipe, then I will put that on the list and make sure that I have enough. And every week I try to pick out at least one of our favorite recipes. So we have recipes, and you probably do too. You have recipes that you like to make regularly, like maybe you have a favorite sloppy joe recipe. We have a favorite faux soup recipe, and that one's in our rotation like at least once a month. So I like to pick out one of those favorite type of recipes I know everybody's gonna like, and I'll put those in for one of the nights. And then I try to pick out like 5 to 6 recipes for the week, and those will be what we have for dinner. And then what I also do is I double the recipe. And what I do when I double it, you could either freeze it and then use it later, but what I do is I like to double the recipe, because then the next day for lunch we can eat the leftovers. Like we'll have the second half of the recipe, and all I have to do is just put it onto a pan or in the oven or on the stovetop and warm it up real quick, because I don't use microwaves. Another tip that I have when you're creating the grocery list is to think about the store that you're going to be going to. So maybe you might have a couple stores, or maybe you're just going to one store. We typically go to about 2 stores. So what I do is I have the list created for 2 stores. Like I have 2 separate kind of lists on there. I have it organized by the way we walk through the store. So all we have to do is just look at the list and then put stuff in the cart as we're walking through, instead of having to kind of hunt through the list and be like, oh, okay, like zucchinis are way down at the bottom, and you miss that because you're at the front of the store and you're digging through the list. You might be a little overwhelmed, there's stuff going on. It's just so much easier to have that list organized by grocery store section. Also, I find it really helpful either on my phone, or if you have like a dry erase board on your refrigerator, that could be really helpful, or some kind of little chalkboard or something. Just writing down things as you run out of them, like things that you regularly use. And so when I'm making the grocery list, I make sure to check out that, run out list and put those items into the grocery list. And then once I have the meals filled out, like usually those will be dinners, I have the dinners planned out, and then the leftovers are for lunches. And then the rest of the list I just fill in with snacks and breakfasts. And breakfast is usually not something I plan out. I just make sure we have like eggs, sometimes we might have like some kind of sourdough bread or something. If we have bacon or sausage, and then I can kind of create breakfasts from that. And at the beginning of this video, I did mention that I'm not super type A, that I don't plan out every single meal. And so what I do is I do plan out, as I mentioned, 5 to 6 meals. And then throughout the week, I just kind of like the day before pick out what we're gonna have the next day, because usually you have to have the meat pulled out. I don't have it like Monday we're having tacos, Tuesday we're having salmon. I'm just like, oh, okay, I think tomorrow we're gonna have tacos based on the recipes I had picked out. I also try to vary the difficulty of the recipes that I'm planning for that week. So in those 5 to 6 recipes, 3 of them might be easier recipes, and then 2 of them will be a little bit more difficult recipes, because I have nights where I'm like, oh, I want to make this really nice meal for my family. Maybe that's about twice a week. And then the rest of the week, I'm just like, okay, I just want to like warm up some ground beef, throw in some veggies and call it a meal. So I highly recommend that, or if you are a person who is not typically very motivated, then make sure you're picking easier recipes. Don't like get too adventurous. So make sure you keep that in mind. And then also something I keep in mind is, because I eat a more traditional foods diet, I have to plan ahead a little bit, like at least the day before. Like sourdough recipes have to be made a day or 2 before. So usually I go through the freezer every 2 to 3 days and pull out a couple cuts of meat at once. And then I know like in the next 2 to 3 days, we're gonna eat those meat. It does give you some options. It allows you some flexibility, and not having every single meal planned out does also give you some flexibility, and it reduces stress, at least for me. But I hope that these tips were helpful for you in your meal planning. And if you have any questions, leave me a question down below in the comments. And please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I share a lot of healthy living, Weston A. Price recipes and traditional food, and more holistic, crunchy stuff. So if you're into that, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you guys again soon. Be well, guys.